Fuck it, we'll do this live. Welcome to Hit or Miss. I'm Night Strike. Tonight I'm joined by, to the left of me, Smegs.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And to the left of him, there's Hawaii Volcano Squad.
They're reporting for Tequila Tuesday.
Awesome. And then we have everyone's favorite here on Gun Channels, G-Webs.
Yay!
Thanks for showing up, man.
Or not showing up. It's hit or miss.
I had
It's
to
hit.
mute on the other thing. Thanks for leaving me.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Anytime. Tonight we're gonna go over a couple stories that I've seen in the news that I wanted to touch on. If any guys, if any of you have anything you'd like to talk about too, please feel free to just throw it out there. Throw it out there. Though Smegs, why don't we start with your piece? You had something you wanted to talk about.
Let's start with yours. I have to find the link still.
All right, fine. I'll start with one.
I'm not ready, teacher.
You didn't come to the classroom without your pants on in your homework, did you?
I'm wearing my homework as pants. Does that count?
I'm not sure that counts. All right.
Just don't end any of your sentences with exclamation points.
All right, I'm going to start off with Remington. Today I saw a news article saying Remington is suing the government over the Army's contract with FN and Colt. And I believe more or less the article, it's saying that basically Remington is suing FN and Colt over the government contracts with the M4s because they secured all of the contracts for the M4s. This time around, Remington didn't get any, and it's also tied into the fact that Remington's credit rating is going down, and they've been listed as a high risk. They're very high risk to invest in. So by Moody's credit services.
As opposed to the America Treasury bonds, right?
Right. So, they're suing FN and Colt over those contracts. It's worth about, I think it was like $212 million or something.
Citing miscalculation of royalty payments it should receive for the M4 design. Colt sued the Army.
They sued, yeah. I honestly, with these companies, with as much money as they make and what they produce, it's almost a given that everyone's going to sue everyone for something ridiculous and arbitrary. Granted, this isn't technically arbitrary. It might have had a play in their high credit risk, but I doubt it. If Remington had better quality products and if they were able to produce, Colt grade M4s, I'm pretty sure the Army would have picked them over FN.
Well, let's just read what it says here. All the details are sealed. The motion list, solicitation number 2, October 2014 notice by the Army for a contract to produce 292,000 M4 carbines. In September, the Army awarded the contract valued at $212 million to both FN and Colt. Shit, that's almost $1 million a carbine. I think we here at Gun Channels could manage to produce some carbines at $1 million each that are better than both FN and Colt could produce.
And we'd even cite them in for them too.
We get like somebody special to sign them too.
Yeah.
We can put a Gun Channels gun website sticker on them or something.
Remember, these M4s are full auto and select fire M4s. These aren't just your run of the mill semi-automatic M4s. It's ridiculous.
$1 million each. That's
Oh no. Well, let's break it down. It said 292,000 M4s valued at 212. So how much is that per M4? There's an indicator.
right. Well, it's close to $1 million. It's less than $1 million, but it's close. Somebody get out a calculator.
I'm gonna get out a calculator to calculate this because that doesn't seem right.
I found the calculator on my computer. 1 second. Only the government could waste this much money on car vents.
And it's no wonder that the government, they can't figure out a budget because they're overspending on weapons. No, that's not right. Apparently it is. Here, I've got it. Basically, that's. Ew, is that right?
I think so.
What's about $7,000 per M4?
No, you're not counting it right.
I'm probably not counting it right.
212 million divided by 292,000.
It's about $730 almost. 726.202. So almost, Granted, you can make an AR-15 for less, or you can even make an M4 for less, even.
Well, you can mass produce them. I mean,
Yeah, but that's not bad. That's certainly not a million each.
But here's another thing: $726.02 for a full automatic rifle that only the government can have.
Round up, it's 3 cents.
Round up 3 cents, okay. 3 cents, but only the government can have them, while we've been denied them since 1986. And if they say, well, no, you're not denied one, you can go out and buy one. Yeah, if I had like $60,000.
Well, that's because they're rare. Because you have to buy, an old one
that's been registered since the 80s or before the 80s even. So.
Right. Yeah, because since the 80s with the Hughes Amendment, you can't produce new ones for commercial sale. So if we just get rid of that, at least then the prices for new ones will come down. And I've heard people say that, oh, the collectors won't like that because then their value will go down. But honestly, like if you haven't...
They've been gouging people. They don't have a say.
Well, it's they're not gouging. It's, they're limited. And here's the thing. I would still spend a lot of money for a real, authentic World War II full auto. You won't have the same price for a new one because it doesn't have the same historical significance. But as a collector's item, those older fully automatic weapons will still have their value.
I just think that left-wing people think that tigers were born without teeth or claws, and I just, the whole world is upside down.
The whole world is messed up right now. It's even more so than it's been in the past. Ugh. Well, look at what's happening around us. I mean, you've got, and yes, I'm going to bring it up even though everybody else has been bringing it up. You've got you've got a SIL going and attacking regular people instead of governments. I mean, if they were going to go and attack other governments, they would make more of a statement, but they figure, let's just attack everyone and only attack civilians and be done with it. I don't understand.
Were you talking about California the other day?
Well, no, in general. Their targets have primarily been civilians.
Than one attack, or are you going to count the Texas one attack? So there's been 2?
Well, look,
I think, are you talking worldwide, though?
I'm talking worldwide.
If a soldier gets killed, it's like a blurb in a paper or a 2-second thing on the on the news. If a bunch of civilians get killed in America, then that's like a month's worth of coverage. Free press, asymmetric media warfare.
Right. And there's the debt clock.
Okay, so the fact that we have debt, and then the fact that one thing happened, it's worse off than we've ever been before.
No, it's not worse off. Look at the Middle East. They've always had problems, but in recent years, it's been, one monumental shitstorm. Now, granted, not that it wasn't a shitstorm during World War II or during, what was it, the 6-Day War?
And the shit is flying all over the place. And because look at the stock market today, the oil just tanked. Oil fuel, because it's the Iranians and the Saudis fighting, the Sunnis and the Shias fighting over market share of oil. OPEC is no longer a cartel. They're just fighting. Everybody's pumping as much as possible, and it's the Sunnis fighting the Shias. Same thing's happening, and it's spilling all over onto the stock market, onto the front page, into San Bernardino. Next thing you know, there's going to be, Sunnis and Shias fighting on Waikiki Beach.
Oh man, not on Waikiki Beach.
I doubt that highly, but
yeah, they'll be fighting over waves. Well, probably that'd be on the North Shore. More,
well, that'd be Point Blank, right? Isn't that the plot of that movie?
Wasn't that in California?
Yeah. All right. Well, and I'm saying worldwide just because, while yes, there's been always some sort or form of conflict in the Middle East, but I don't think it's been as bad as it had been in previous years or in previous eras even.
It's been pretty bad, not everything. It was bad before they had social media, but I'm not going to go back 1,000 years, so let's just keep it current.
And there's the other thing. G-Webs, you remember the Cold War better than you in Hawaii probably remember the Cold War better than either of us.
And at the end of it, sure, but you don't remember the Olympic hijack? What the hell was that? Olympic kidnapping or hijacking or whatever that would be called, where they took the people hostage?
You mean in Germany during the Olympics?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah,
that wasn't a worse time. That was a time when they blatantly took a bunch of people hostage, and that was a thing to do back then. There was quite a bit of hostage taken.
Yeah, but now instead of taking hostages, they focused to just killing people and beheading them on camera.
It's the new normal.
Those people are hostages, dude. I mean, they get them. Right?
Asymmetric warfare has been in the Middle East forever.
Yeah. All right.
When the Assassin Guild tried
to... It's not necessarily getting worse. It's just fluctuating, which it goes up and down. So unless the swing is so dramatic that it's unprecedented and it stays in that direction for a long time, then it's just the fluctuation of things going on. So you can. Were you talking about the thing the other day in the U.S. or were you talking about the Paris thing?
I was talking about it on a global scale. Not just one particular region. Just what what terrorists have done on just in the world lately to people.
Well, then let's go global.
Yeah, because there was also the fact where they went and attacked people in Australia in their homes as well. You heard about that one, right?
No, I didn't. But here, this thing. If I would have, I'd be more concerned because I don't go out seeking that stuff. Then it would mean that it was happening more often. So for them to pick, I don't know, if you want to pick one per continent that was made the news, or the fact that they happened, I don't know, did they happen in a coordinated effort? That would be newsworthy. But I suggest that if there's the number of these terrorists that are so bent on getting us, and they have so many facilities to do so, then why aren't they doing it in a coordinated thing? If their answer that they're not doing it in a coordinated all on one day they do everything they can to cripple us so that we're literally not able to fight back, so that then they could come in and really take us out. And if that was their goal, number one, why ain't they doing that? And if the answer is because they can't, then how is this a strategy that they do one thing in a room in a basic, I don't want to say inconsequential, but I mean in the grand scheme of things, they're doing random ass shit. Is it targets of opportunity? Is it some massive strategy that we're all blind to?
Imagine trying to coordinate people on the internet.
When they're able to do it, like who they're able to affect and keep poking them or something. I don't know, but
G-Webs, you do this all the time. Imagine trying to coordinate people on the internet. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do, is it? So.
No, but I don't manipulate people, or I don't have any intent to.
Well, he didn't say that.
Hurt anyone, so I don't try to do that kind of shit. I'm assuming with that kind of stuff, it's just a matter of putting out the right kind of bait so that you find the right kind of people and push the right kind of buttons. If you've got no morals,
you're a good guy. You're a good guy. It's just a matter of just trying to coordinate things on the internet. You know,
yeah,
it's hit or miss.
It is hit or miss, and you know their issue is
exactly what I was getting at. Is that I would be more afraid if they really were flexing their muscle, and that's all they could do, because they'd be really flexing their muscle. Or if this was the beginning of them really flexing their muscle and they had some actual clout. But I think it's more like they frantically struggle all the time to do something, and every once in a while they get a nibble. So to give them any more attention than acknowledgement even is giving them a win when we don't need to. We don't gain anything by concentrating on it. We gain more and they suffer more when we all but ignore these situations, because they happen almost never, right? And then I think in the bigger picture, for the gun side of it, we win because, like we were talking about earlier, if we can probably get an anti-gunner to agree with us, because they tend to think everybody is innocent of everything and everybody can do no wrong, and it's just a couple of bad apples and they don't spoil the bunch, and they don't have the logic to see the guns are the same situation. So I think that we could win that argument by saying, well, I don't know how far you want to get off on this tangent.
No, please continue.
Arguing with somebody on the left, anti-gunners, is like trying to play chess with pigeon. You know, they knock over all the pieces, strut around the board, and crap.
I don't disagree with you, but we've given that particular group of pigeons the right to vote. So we don't want them to get into the voting booth and do the same thing, because then we have to depend on chance. I'd rather come up with some strategies so that at least we can teach the pigeon to pull the handle in our direction and give him a cracker at the end, instead of yelling at the pigeon every time he doesn't pull the right handle.
And that kind of brings up, I know we had kind of mentioned this earlier, but when they get all bent out of shape with, you know, when the people like, what's his face is all like, oh, all Muslims are bad, let's get rid of all of them or whatever.
Trump.
Well, yeah, so I'm sorry, just the liberals will be like, oh no, it's not fair to judge the entire group by the action of the few. And I think a strategy is to go along with that and say, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, you know, why should it be the whole group's fault that a couple of people did something bad? And then say, oh yeah, by the way, isn't that the exact same thing you do with gun owners? And if we can point out their hypocrisy, they might be, you know, intellectually honest enough to say, oh crap, you're right, that is not the right thing to do.
Playing chess with pigeons, and you knowing how to play chess is not going to help you. So.
Yeah, the fact is that they don't view people as the enemy, gun owners as the enemy. They view guns as the enemy. They view an inanimate object as the problem.
Right. So an inanimate object can load itself, rack the slide, and fire without a person at all.
No, but what Nate's saying is that's what they're against. So we're not going to win by explaining or trying to explain the inanimate object to them. And yeah, you're not going to try to win a chess game. And I think that we can take. Let me take that analogy of playing chess with the pigeon to trying to get a pigeon to vote our way. right? Because that's really what we want. We're not trying to do anything as complicated as chess. We literally want them to walk into that thing, close the curtain, and pull the handle our way instead of the other way. And we know they're going to be pulling the handle one way or the other because everybody fills out the whole voting thing. Very few people get to the gun one and skip it, right? So they're going to pull this handle one way or the other. And I say that we don't need to teach the pigeon what voting is or why our position's right. Instead, maybe we just learn how to reward the pigeon for doing what we want and not yelling at them for not doing what we want, so that we basically are learning how to deal with the pigeon. And it doesn't really matter what the pigeon's position is. The other side certainly doesn't think of the sheep in the middle, the people we always call the sheep. They don't think of their best interest. They think of how to best squeeze that sponge or how to best milk them. And we're not trying to really get anything out of them except really their own best interest by letting us continue to worry about our best interest.
Yeah, but rewarding them is giving them an inch. And if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
No, I'm talking about the pigeon. When you want the pigeon to vote your way, you praise the pigeon every time he votes your way, and you ignore it every time he votes the other way, as opposed to trying to teach a pigeon by yelling every time he does the wrong thing and hoping he'll do the right thing out of being timid. We're not going to win anything trying to scare these people by saying, oh, the world is so scary that you have to let everyone carry guns. That doesn't win. They're scared in the first place. So that's not going to win with them. So instead of trying to go with some of these strategies against them, we're saying, oh, we'll never win because we can't speak, with these people. They don't understand. Maybe we can get around that by just, I think that was an interesting thing we came up with today, talking about how the debate right now is whether or not to let the immigrants in based on race or religion or whatever you want to call that characteristic.
Well, we shouldn't discriminate via race, but it's that a lot of these situations that are happening are done by people who are calling themselves radical Islamists, Muslims. But they might not even be Muslim, though. They could even be atheists. So we don't know. But the fact is, some of the more right-wing Republican proponents want to say, don't let Muslims in. Now, that's not going to solve anything other than piss Muslims off. So
yeah, I mean, there's no to the fact, and if you look at only the outsider, Orangehead is even saying it. All the other Republicans aren't saying keep Muslims out.
No, and that's right. We can't just persecute someone based on their religion. Look how that worked out for the Germans during World War II. It didn't work out very well for them. You can't.
Look at us with the Japanese internment camps.
Yeah, that's another point. That's where people don't actually learn that in school. That we did the same thing. We put Japanese in internment camps during World War II. You don't teach that in school.
We didn't put them in death camps, but internment camps, and it was evil to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't right.
It wasn't right.
The fact
We're
is,
talking about different things here, and that's not fair to any of the people involved. The Germans were going after the Jews, not because the Jews were out to get the Germans and hurting the Germans in any way. It's because the Nazis were a bunch of fucks who didn't like the Jews to exist, and they had the power and wherewithal. Can I finish? And nobody stood up to them, and they were able to exterminate a shit ton of them. When you're talking about the camps in the United States, I don't remember any of us putting anybody in the showers, and I remember a lot of people feeling bad about it. But when we're talking about cultures that not just speak different languages, but literally exist in different types of paradigms or whatever, it's very difficult to communicate between the two cultures. If we would have been at war with Germany, we'd put them in the internment camps too. So are we going to ignore what we do during war when there's someone out to kill us? They've literally attacked on our borders, and how we react to the population that is in the same culture and language, potentially, at a time when there was not radios and possibility to have the kind of background checks and stuff that people think that we have today?
The common element in what the Germans did and what Trump was talking about is that for their own reasons, they needed a boogeyman. And for the Nazis, the boogeyman was the Jews, and bankers and homosexuals and anybody that didn't fit their Aryan ideology of what a perfect Aryan was.
Go on, Nathan.
All right.
I was going to say that the point of the Japanese internment camps being interesting is the fact that when we went to war with Germany, Italy, and Japan, we put all of the Japanese in internment camps. We did not round up the German Americans. We did not round up the Italian Americans. We just put the Japanese who looked different than us, and because they bombed Pearl Harbor, nobody said anything about it. They were so mad at Japan over Pearl Harbor. Everyone let us do this injustice.
Talk to a German. I'm sure everybody looked at the Germans funny, but the Germans weren't a completely different culture, and they didn't speak such a different language. They spoke English. The
Japanese spoke English.
Yeah, it was racial. I mean, if you look at all the World
War
Harbor
racism combined.
Yeah, but I can tell you that in Hawaii, they didn't round up Japanese and put them in camps because about 99% of the Hawaiian businesses were run by Japanese, and 2/3 of the population was Japanese, and the island would have ceased to function, and there would have been no. Having Pearl Harbor would have been useless without running functioning businesses. So.
Right. We're getting a little off topic, but my correlation to this was it didn't work out well for doing the same thing to one set of people, for the Germans. It doesn't work out well. We took flack, and that's why it's not taught in school that we did that to the Japanese Japanese Americans during World War II. And if on a global scale, if you were getting immigrants into your country, singling out a certain group just by their ethnicity or by their religion is going to get you a hell of a lot of flack, regardless.
Yeah. I'm not happy with Trump.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
I just want to say I was not happy with Trump. I don't want people to have to carry a religious identification card or wear an M on their or a red crescent sleeve on their jacket.
He's unfortunately jumping the shark at this point. Unfortunately, because he is being him, and it's getting an extreme situation. He always takes whatever situation, he takes it a step further. Now that we're at an extremity, he's taking it a step further and going well beyond what normal people are like, whoa, hold on, what the hell?
That's his political strategy, though, to say something completely ridiculously outrageous, and then the press, mainstream press that everybody hates, almost as Obama says Trump is, and then his poll numbers jump, and then his next rally has 3 times as many people as the last rally.
I think he's just waiting for his campaign to tell him to dial it down a bit.
Nah, there ain't no one who can rein that man in. That isn't. He's full steam ahead.
Okay.
But hold on talking about bringing immigrants into this country.
Mm-hmm.
When I heard, and I researched this, that they want to bring 10,000 Syrian immigrants in, but we've only brought 2,500 in over the past 4 years. I was like shocked. I was like, seriously? We've you're increasing 600 to 700 a year is what we've been doing, and you want to jump to 10,000 in 1 year? That's ridiculous.
That won't go over well.
Well, you don't have obviously you probably don't have the infrastructure in place to handle an influx increase like that. Not even a tenfold. It's like a 17 fold increase. Going from 700 to 10,000 in 1 year is what Obama wants. And I'm sitting here going, and these people might have ISIS in them? No. Keep them at the same influx ratio. Vet them. Process them. Like we have been. Why would you increase? Give money to some other damn country to take them in. Just take all that money you wanted to bring 10,000 in with, give it to some other country that'll take in 20,000.
But here's the thing. why should we have to pay to house them?
Because you know what? We're magical. Not only do we have enough welfare in our society, we can import welfare now.
Yet our government still can't figure out a budget.
Well, of course they can. Yeah. Doesn't matter if they're bringing people in or not. They still are not going to run a budget, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. Smegs, do you want to go on your thing yet?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I found the link. I will post it again. I posted it one time. But basically, sorry, doing two things at once. Basically, it was talking about, let's see, what's the title? So it says, needed, domestic disarmament, not gun control. And then he goes, blah, 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 with, daily mass shootings and all that shit that's, debunked. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, a good progressive persons are calling for some measures of gun control. They may well know in their hearts of hearts that even if these measures are enacted, they will do little to reduce gun violence. So that's good. That's what we've been saying as well. But then, this was an interesting one. So, slowing the speed by which magazines can be reloaded, in quotes, requiring a tool to reload, would help. But gun manufacturers have already found a way to circumvent this regulation by declaring the bottom of the gun is a tool. Now, I've never heard of that. I know the bullet
that's
button.
Pretty dumb.
The whole gun is a tool.
They're talking about a bullet button.
I know, but why would they say the bottom of the gun? They should say, an empty case is a tool.
An empty case. Yeah, they got it wrong. They just screwed up because they don't understand what it is.
Well, the thing is that if God made sharks without teeth and tigers without claws and teeth and not give them night vision, then humans use tools to do things, and that's how they defend themselves, with tools of one type or another. And one version is the thing that they use as guns. So, it's just, I don't get this whole thing why people don't understand that everybody has a natural right to defend themselves. So.
Well, okay, so let me put it this way. In California, bullet buttons are mandatory on AR-15s. Somehow, these individuals in San Bernardino switched out their bullet buttons and installed regular ejection pieces in them. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they just used cases. I don't know. Maybe they had a tool. But
apparently, the guns came from Arizona.
Okay, well, I bet that they didn't have bullet buttons. What I'm going to bet, because they certainly weren't using 10-round magazines, because they only...
Where did you hear that they were from Arizona? I heard that they were from Shopton, California.
I heard it on the news today.
Okay, so the guy who gave them the two ARs, but the thing was the ARs that they took them down to ranges and shot them in California. So I would have to assume they had the bullet button technology at some point. Otherwise, multiple ranges wouldn't have let them in.
They would have turned him into the cops.
Yeah, they would have been suspicious and looked at. Because I'm sure in California, they're idiots that they actually look at the guns when they bring them in. They inspect them probably. But nevertheless, okay, whether they had the bullet buttons or not, they shot, 80 rounds, and there were 4 magazines left on the ground. That's not 10-round magazines. So they obviously were ignoring the law. They were using 20 to 30-round magazines.
Not to mention that when they killed people, they were ignoring the law.
Well, yeah, that was a part of it. Yeah, I mean, a small part.
Let's be honest. Do terrorists and criminals really follow the law in the first place?
No, they absolutely don't. They don't follow the law, and if you can spend, $5 on the button release and replace it in your weapon, and somebody, you know what they said? They said they tried to convert one of the weapons to fully automatic. That's not what they did, I guarantee you, because that gun had a block on it. What they did is they converted the gun to drop the magazine, is what they did.
Yeah, well, as you just agreed with me, criminals and terrorists do not follow the law. But us law-abiding citizens that are allowed to own firearms are always punished for their misdeeds. And I just wanted to say that.
They always want to take the guns away from the people that didn't do it. So.
Yep.
Yeah, that's. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. I kind of got kicked out or whatever. But going on more to this article. Okay, so I'll go from here. Given that even micro gun control measures will be effectively blocked by the NRA and its allies, promoting these mini measures potentially effectiveness is misleading. Progressives may as well go for the big enchilada. Call for domestic disarmament. And then it talks about how the Supreme Court found that the Second Amendment applies to people. Oh no, God forbid. And then it says that this suggests that we may have to get to domestic disarmament through the back door, make the gun manufacturers liable for harm done with their products, ban the sale of ammunition, and vote for a president that will add to the Supreme Court those who will read the Second Amendment as written.
Jeez. I swear I'm going to buy another 10 million rounds of ammo and 3,000 more Tavors.
Now, okay, so let's say that this actually happens, which is indeed possible in my mind, that they stack the Supreme Court, that they put someone in office who is totally anti-gun, and they go after and start placing legislation against, liability against firearms manufacturers. They start banning certain types of ammo to increase the price or outlawing certain types completely. If this happens,
they're going to force the gun industry and the ammo industry underground, and we'll probably get the Mexican cartel smuggling in Mexican ammo, Aguila ammo. Like
one of the articles I read said this could be something that would cause, Americans who believe in the Constitution and everything to rebel and attack the government, which, again, if there were anything that might lead to Civil War type things, that would be one of them, like trying to take away our Second Amendment by back.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Oh, no, we're not anywhere close to there yet.
I hope we never have to be there.
And God forbid we ever have to be there. Yeah, but I'm just saying.
We still get a vote. So if you're out there, and you're not registered to vote yet, go register. It's easy.
Oh, but then so just the final paragraph of this article really shows what the author meant. So above all, domestic disarmament is a true, compelling vision which cannot be said about the small gun control measures that are currently promoted by some of the most enlightened people among us. So it's basically a liberal being pissed off at other liberals that they're not going after every single gun ever.
Whole enchilada, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, here in America, we have a Second Amendment right, and they truly do. A lot of liberals, a lot of people in this country in power want to remove that right. And for whatever reason, they have lots of reasons. It's basically mostly idealism, the concept that we're too small and simple-minded, and that we'll save everyone, we'll make and this is the exact same thing that led to communism back in the day, this idea that the government needs to control the people and protect them and put them in a euphoric situation. And it is
also that the government is never wrong, that it's not out to get you, so that, and they, it's not out to get you, but they won't acknowledge that it's a big, clumsy, obnoxious thing that usually gets things in a way that doesn't kill everybody. So a lot of people say they get things right, but just because they accomplish some task doesn't mean that was the only way to obtain those goals. It's just that they're the biggest bully that takes our money and does stuff and then says, see, we didn't destroy your money completely and we kind of accomplished what we were supposed to do, so that must validate our existence. And there's those people that basically have ultimate faith in that, and they won't accept that there's an alternative or an alternate to that, and they don't question that. They think that that's always good, and that we don't even have to fear that. The fact that we acknowledge the fact that that isn't always good, and we have to retain an insurance policy against that. They can't see that. It's just like they're blind to that.
Oh yeah, they're totally blind.
They destroyed. It's like in Vietnam when they had to destroy a village to save it, by burning it to the ground. I mean,
I'm not sure that saves it.
Well, it doesn't, but all I can say is the more guns and ammo and stacks of silver and gold bars and coins I have, the safer I feel.
Now, on another note,
every second matters, chats. I do, the safer I feel. But at least I feel like I'm doing something. So I'm not just sitting around.
On another note, I was reading an article today on a website called The Federalist, and they mentioned how that gun ownership in households is way down. It's like at 38%. It's like at a 20-year low, right? 38% of households have guns. But then they mentioned that in poll research, when they called up and asked people and talked to them, not the one that the government sends out where you mark, yeah, I have a gun in my house, but when they call on the phone and ask, 47% of them people polled said they had guns in their house or had a gun.
That has to be, who would answer that question? Somebody calls you up and say, hey, do you have a gun in your house? You say, no, then okay, we're coming over to rob the place. Hands up.
But I'm just saying that on the census where they ask, do you have a gun in your house, everyone's saying no, and it keeps dropping and dropping and dropping.
And that census is from the 1980s, right?
No, it's a census from 2010. Every 10 years they do a census. But anyway, so people are saying, no, I don't have a gun, no, I don't have a gun on the census. But when they're called up on people by the phones going, this is the Pew Research poll, I'm not with the government, they're like, oh yeah, I got a gun. So the point is they want to make it seem like we're a fringe section of the population, when really we're not 32 or 38%. We're 50% of the population, because when we're asked, we don't tell them we have guns. We don't admit that we have them because we know they want to take them.
So
you know what I'm saying?
We lie on the census. We lie to the government on the census, but
because we know they want to take them.
Yeah, well.
I mean, that's what it comes down to when all these gun control people go, oh yeah, the people own guns, they're a very small portion of the population. It's only like a third of the population. No, it's about more than half. We just don't admit it.
Well, how many? Didn't we just set some new record on Black Friday for gun sales?
We did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, gun sales are swelling. I know so many people who've never owned a gun before that have bought a gun in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
and they'll either enjoy it or they'll just leave it in their house until something happens.
Yeah, but I'm just saying gun ownership is expanding because we're being attacked. And my father-in-law said it himself. He goes, well, I've never really wanted a gun, but the fact that this guy tells me that I can't have one makes me want to have one.
Right. Now, and they will spin that, though. When you mention the gun sales, what they will say is it's people who already have guns buying 10 more. Like, that's their argument. And the thing is, because of the way the system's set up, which is kind of a good thing for us, there's no way to really prove if it's a current owner or a new owner. So all we have is anecdotal evidence of people who work at gun stores and how many people walked in telling them, hey, I don't own a gun, I want to buy one. You know, like that's... When you talk to people who work at gun stores, they are telling you stories about first-time gun buyers and, you know, helping them pick out their first gun. And that's on the rise.
Oh, big time. And gun prices and gun sales will increase throughout the next year because they will continue to attack. I'm just amazed that it's gotten to the point in our country where we have this stuff going on in politics where they're actually admitting that they want to attack it, where one side thinks that's a great rallying cry.
Yeah, we need Archie Bunker back, play some of his old gun routines, like the one where everybody gets on a plane and they pass out guns to everybody, so that way no hijacker will dare to pull out a rod because everybody has one. And then at the end of the flight, they collect all the guns. So.
Yeah. In the Hit or Miss chat room, SOS guy just mentioned that Smith & Wesson stock doubled this year, and Ruger's has increased by 50%. So, and that has
amazing considered if you looked at the stock market today.
Yeah. Yeah, the stock market isn't doing very well. Though, let's be honest, it's never done well.
Oh, sure it has.
Well, no.
It goes up and down.
It goes up and down, but it's been down more so than it's been up.
No. Okay, hold on. So
I'll start rambling about the central banks if you want now.
You can look at the stock market and go look at the Dow Jones and click on show me the last 5 years. It's been going up for a long time. Since basically the financial crisis, it's been on the rise. It bottomed out and now it's been on the rise since. Sure, it goes down, it goes up, things influence it. But really, the sick thing is people, when it goes down, they can make money off that, same as when it goes up.
Oh, yeah. But the problem is people don't understand the difference between currency and money. And they don't understand what all this central bank printing money it means, and when, like Canada, the Bank of Canada, they says they're thinking about having a negative interest rate. I mean, where the banks actually just take money out of your account and not just devaluing the entire currency. I mean, right now the federal bank has to buy, when China is dumping treasury bonds and buying gold, and the only people that will buy treasury bonds is the Federal Reserve Bank. So we're borrowing money, to give China money to buy gold.
Well, hold on. Here's the deal, and I'll explain this because actually, Hawaii, keep talking to keep your screen up a little bit. But okay. If you look at the lower left where the gray part is on the left side, it says our monetary base is like 4 trillion. It says the M2 supply is 12 trillion. It says the Treasury and securities are 406 billion, I think.
Correct.
And then the currency and derivatives. The currency and derivatives, which are basically made up fake money in our stock market,
leveraged.
491. So real cash money is 4 trillion. Real cash money, physical cash money, is 4 trillion, and currency and derivatives is 491 trillion. 100 to 1 difference.
Yeah. So if you're out there in the external or YouTube and you've never been to see the U.S. debt clock, just go to usdebtclock.org, and you'll get all the scary information about our $18.780 trillion in debt, and we also have like 142 trillion in unfunded liabilities. The people, Social Security, taking care of veterans, Obamacare, but it's not just the United States. The EU is doing the same thing. Bank of Canada, Bank of Japan. It's a race to the bottom. Everybody's devaluing their currency to try and get, and there's the trade in between countries is going down, but they're trying to keep the stock market going up by throwing more and more money into the system, and bankers are making leverage bets with fake money, and eventually this bubble is going to pop, and how it unwinds could be very, very scary. That's why I said I feel.
So that means guys, you better get prepping.
Yeah, I'm just stating this based on the facts that I've read. The made-up money in the stock market being 100 to 1 to the actual hard cash in the real world, and then the hard cash in the real world is then represented about 10 times that is what is in your bank accounts. Okay.
See, there's a difference between currency and money. you know, and people have to figure that out. You know, when you have leveraged assets that, you know, until you actually, there's like no, I mean, what's our how much are we manufacturing now? What's the manufacturing? You know, how much stuff is America manufacturing now?
Again, I would say the biggest point is in 2008, we had a giant crash in the financial market, and the balloon has been blown up 4 times as large at this point now.
And it's going to be, it's like taking heroin. It's like we're shooting heroin, and when you got to stop, you know, your gun's going to be. You see, what's going to happen is every real assets like guns, ammo, gold, silver, that'll be worth, you know, like $1 million bill will be worth like what $20 is now. So that's called hyperinflation. So you know, it's really scary, and it's not just the U.S. It's the whole world that's doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, I'm going to say, Hawaii, that there is too much of them putting the world on a credit card, basically. This is the easiest way to describe it. Since 2008, when everything crashed, the world has put us on a credit card.
Yeah, to keep the stock market going up. And so if you're day trading on the stock market, realize what happens when, you know, all your accounts are frozen and you can't get any money out, because everything is leveraged. Like at the COMEX for trading silver or gold, it's like for every 300 futures contracts of a bar of gold or a bar of silver, there's actually 1 bar. That's supposed to be sitting in their vault for delivery. So, you know, the whole world is leveraged to the hilt, and that's why there's a fight now, you know, over what the next world reserve currency will be, you know, and Russia and China don't want it to be the dollar, you know, but that battle's it's a constant battle, but it's a long ways off from being resolved. But when this debt bubble pops, who knows, you know, what event will bring it on. I can't predict the future, but
no one can.
Everybody.
If I can jump back to that article again.
Go for it.
Please.
Now that, you know, Money Channels is over, but there was something I forgot about it when I was reading it, but that whole part about the, you know, Supreme Court reading the Second Amendment like it's supposed to be. And their whole thing, basically, that line was that it's only for militias and blah, 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 all this other shit. And you hear that sometimes. It's kind of an old argument. It's, you know, been decided that that's not what the Second Amendment means. But if you hear someone giving you that argument, one of the best things that I like to counter with is look at the state constitutions. Because most states have in their constitution something that says the right of the people to keep a gun for self-defense, or, you know, words like that. And you can find all of those Second Amendment state-type statements on Every Second Matters.
I went to the JPFO to look it up when somebody gave me that argument, and the Jews for the Protection of Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership.org, JPFO.org. Mm-hmm. And basically the part about the militia is a preamble that doesn't affect the right, and it's basically how they used to write. They're saying this is why we're doing it, and this is what it is. You know, this is your right. It doesn't affect the right. It just says why, and that's how they used to write back in 17.
Right.
What year was the Bill of Rights? 1791. I'm sorry, my history is a little hazy for the exact year that the Bill of Rights was agreed to. 1791?
It was 223 years ago, wasn't it? Or was that?
I wasn't alive then, so I don't remember.
Okay, so hold on. The Battle for Independence was 1776, and then the Constitution.
No, that was the Declaration of Independence.
I'm sorry, that was Declaration of Independence. Then they had the war, and then everything got done right before 1800, basically. Took a little time.
Right.
I know that I shot 223 .223 bullets to celebrate the 223rd anniversary of the Bill of Rights. And I want to say that was last December. So I guess it's 224 years old this year.
Well, let's get back to the point you were making, though.
Yes,
About
please.
The preamble. The preamble doesn't affect the right. It just explains why it's there. So,
right. And again,
it doesn't limit the right. Okay, that's what I meant.
No.
Okay, so let's analyze just real quick, real fast. So, that it speaks to the right of states having a militia, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So what they're trying to say is, well, guess what?
The preamble cancels the right. That's what they're trying to say.
They said the militia is the National Guard now. And so that's your militia. That's the people who have the right to have guns. This federalized...
No. The militia is the state guards or the state militias.
No, it's not.
Well, they claim the National Guard's the new militia is what they claim, which it's not. It's supposed to be your militias in your states that are the militias, and then the right of the people to keep and bear arms to be part of the militia. Back then, everyone who was able-bodied was part of the militia.
Yeah, but you're really lost in the weeds.
The Federalist Papers.
You're lost in the weeds. The issue is whether or not the preamble cancels the right or the preamble doesn't cancel the right. And so that's really the issue. And historically it doesn't. You have to look it up in the Federalist Papers, and there's a specific section on the jfpo.org about that issue.
So hold on. What if they somehow got it through that only militia members could be armed? Could I make my own militia and become a militia member? Could I get with my townsfolk and do that?
Well, Patrick Henry Lee actually said that everybody should own a gun, and he was one of the founding fathers at the Constitutional Convention. And I forget what state Patrick Henry Lee was from, but he was one of the founding fathers. And but people don't care about this. It's just the preamble doesn't cancel the right. If you get too far in the weeds talking about things, you'll lose everybody, including me.
Right. And again, just look at the state. Michigan has a thing in their constitution that says, the right of people to own guns for defense of themselves and the state, shall not be infringed, kind of thing. It's not word for word, and just go through the whole list. Most of them say something about, people owning guns for their protection and the protection of the state. Almost all of them are worded that way, where they specifically say you own a gun to protect yourself, and also you can protect the state. Almost every single one says something like that. There's a few that don't, and there are some that just copied the Second Amendment, basically. And some of them have weird stuff in there about, but there's nothing in this statement to say carrying concealed is allowed or something. Like, there's kind of some weird things in there. But I encourage everyone to read through all the different state amendment. I don't know if they're amendments, whatever you call them, because they're all written in different sections of the state constitution. Oh, God damn it. But anyways, I just want to bring that up. We were talking about that earlier today at the text chat, so it was on the top of my brain.
Awesome. Thanks for bringing it up. All right. What was the other thing that we were going to talk about?
Obama's entourage to Paris.
That I think that's for lock and load.
Okay.
That might be more of a lock and load situation. Unless you want to talk about it now.
No, if nobody's interested, I'm perfectly willing to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. I don't.
All right, I'm gonna try and keep track on here. By the way, the mandatory smart gun bill passed. Not passed, but it's been sent through the New Jersey Senate again. So it's mandatory for smart guns. Why?
Is that getting rid of the whole? It has to be sold first before it becomes mandatory, or what? What's the deal on that? Do you have an article?
New Jersey's flipping that. They're just outlawing handguns at this point. And there's no way Christie's going to sign that going for president.
Yeah, it'd be a political suicide for him to sign it as, if he's going for president. I'll throw the link in the chat room on Gun Channels in the Hit or Miss chat room. I saw that, earlier today, and I was just thinking, why? Why do you feel you need a mandatory smart gun law?
Because it's easier than saying no handguns allowed.
But they've already done that. They've already
in New Jersey, you can still buy handguns.
Don't you have to have some sort of license in order to do so?
Yeah, you go down, you apply for the state license to buy a handgun, and you buy a handgun. It's a pain in the rear end, and it takes maybe a month to do, but you can still buy a handgun in New Jersey. This would effectively eliminate that, because the only smart gun's a .22, and it's a piece of crap.
Okay, so I just looked at the article there, and basically the mandate is that they are mandating gun stores to carry at least one model of smart gun. So what that will do, since the first one says once a smart gun is sold, that proves the technology is good. Therefore, from now on, all new guns have to be smart guns. And no one wanted to sell any because they're like, yeah, that's dumb. So now they're saying you have to put at least one model in your store. So now they're telling businesses what type of...
Put it at the bottom of... Put it in the toilet at the bottom so people can piss on it when they come into your store.
I would just price it at $20 million or $100 million, or I'd be like, hey, I carry a smart gun. It's not my fault nobody bought it. That's what I would do if I was a gun owner or a gun store and that actually went through. And as long as no one will buy it, except for maybe Bloomberg, but at least then you get $100 million of Bloomberg's money.
Or say I sold one, but they returned.
I've been in New Jersey and do this.
Throw in a bottle of free Fire Clean.
Fire Clean. Yeah, no, the only thing I use Fire Clean for is to cook eggs.
Oh, man.
But, yeah, I just found that whole situation just ridiculous. Mandating to have one smart gun in a gun shop? No. Next, they'll be telling them in New Jersey, you can only sell this brand of guns. You can and then they'll jump from guns to whatever the fuck they feel like because hey, we're the New Jersey Senate. We can do whatever the fuck we want. They're getting power hungry.
All right, so I jumped the gun a little bit on that, to be honest. So I was misled. Basically, okay, the proposal requires dealers to carry at least one model of smart gun when they become available, rather than sell them exclusively. So it actually is a step in the right direction.
So what is this bill that is
available? They just have to offer at least one. They don't have to only sell that. It's still shitty. I mean, you should throw the whole thing out. And no Republican senators voted in favor of it.
So but this is like the Beatles song that they did. Happiness is a smart gun, right?
I have always been under the belief that happiness comes from a belt-fed machine gun.
Happiness comes from hitting your target.
Happiness comes from the bottom of a magazine when it's empty.
No, that's sadness. Because it's empty.
Yeah, I could see it both ways. Just mention empty it, though, so you're pretty happy at the end of the point of that.
You're happy during the fact, but after the fact, when the magazine's empty, you're pretty sad. Because then you have to either reload it or go buy more ammunition.
So let's do a quick poll. Who has over 5,000 rounds of ammo?
No comment.
On the panel.
I don't have that much.
I've seen that much at one time before.
Have you blown up your tree yet, Night Strike? Your tree stumps?
No, I haven't gotten any tannerite. I have 30 acres in the county, and I say it's in the county because it's not in the city. It's in county land, so uh, I have a whole bunch of stumps on that property, and I haven't gotten around to taking those out manually because the amount of money it would cost to get them taken out normally is more than the property is worth. So I was figuring maybe just drilling a hole, drilling a hole and putting some tannerite down and blowing up each stump. But I'm not sure how well that would go with the neighbors because that property is right next to a golf course.
Yeah, that would be.
I mean, I can shoot on that property just as long as I shoot into the berm of the trees that were left after the loggers left, because they built a nice, good shooting berm for me. But I can't shoot in that direction where the golf course is because, I don't want to get arrested.
Yeah, and using tannerite to blow trees out might not be the best idea.
Well, I'm trying to get the stumps out fast. That's the only issue.
I saw a YouTube video where a guy blew up his barn with 170 pounds of tannerite.
I don't want to use that much.
Hold on. That actually is illegal. Any more than 50 pounds of tannerite in one location breaks ATF rules. Can't have more than 50 pounds in one place.
Yeah, but the Demolition Ranch used 80 to blow up one tree.
So, if you have an explosive license, they'll leave you alone. If you are an amateur, like yourself, and you videotape it, they'll prosecute.
Yeah.
Look what happened with FPS Russian when he had that door fly by him.
Oh boy.
Between that video and someone offing his buddy, the ATF went and raided his entire farm trying to find him in violation of tannerite storage. Is what they were
whenever there's a dead body, they kind of get activated, a little more than usual.
But I'm just saying, it was highly coincidental that video was released, and then they showed up less than 2 weeks later. Because, again, that was the big push of the FBI, having people... Because too many people were learning about tannerite, really, from his videos and other things. And the FBI launched the tannerite awareness program to where you'd call in if somebody came and acted suspiciously.
Right.
That's like what would be the alphabet soup for tannerite?
It'd be the ATF.
Awareness. No,
Oh.
I mean...
I heard alphabet, and I just assumed you were talking about government agencies.
Yeah, but I was trying to make up a tannerite task force.
It's just ATF/E for explosives on the end. I call it tobacco, firearms, and explosives.
Yeah.
But again, they're the biggest hillbilly federal agency there is. I'm sorry, that's every other federal agency just views them as the hillbilly brother of all the other federal law enforcement.
TCP, the Tannerite Control People.
Tannerite Control People?
Yeah, I just made that up.
Awesome. All right. The last thing I wanted to mention was
FPS Night Strike.
No, even though I can probably do a better Russian accent than him. Because that guy he's not from Russia. He's not even, I don't even think he's Russian. He's just a guy from Georgia.
Isn't Georgia in Russia?
No, he's in Georgia, Georgia.
There's really a Georgia in Russia.
We've seen Georgia on the map in the United States. It's purple, okay? That Georgia.
Yeah, he totally lives on his parents' farm out there and drives a nice pickup truck and then made a lot of videos. And the whole thing was when he would get online and play video games, he would do an impersonation of his old boss at the car dealership who was Russian. And that's how it all started.
Right.
Everyone loved it because he was running around video games talking in a Russian accent. killing people on, Medal of Honor and stuff. And so he became FPS Russian when he was really just Brian from Georgia.
All right, the last thing I want to mention before we start wrapping up is a study that was done on concealed carry permit holders across the United States. I'm going to post the link here if you guys want to take a look at it in the chat, and then I will throw it up in the hit or miss chat room too for everyone. So incoming links. Here we go. Here's the links. Basically, what it runs down to is, here, let me back up for a second. What it amounts to is, in Florida and Texas, permit holders are convicted of misdemeanors or felonies at 1/6 the rate that police officers are convicted of. That's about 2% conviction for law enforcement officers and only about 0.3% for concealed carry holders. And granted, that's just in those two states, but the study was done in the whole United States. But the fact that cops are screwing up and committing more crimes than, concealed carry permit holders are, basically kills the whole anti-gun spiel that, concealed carry holders are criminals. Well, they're not committing crimes. The ones committing crimes are the people that are supposed to enforce the laws. Doesn't that say something?
Well, it speaks to the fact that concealed carry holders typically are completely law-abiding citizens prior to getting their concealed carries, and that law enforcement have a tendency, I hate to say it, but to be influenced by the people that are around the criminals, and some of them choose to try to skirt the law.
Yeah, but don't make excuses for them.
I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just saying they're a product of their environment to an extent. They're mainly okay. So if you take all the people in a demographic,
right,
the average person is this chance of becoming a criminal. The cops are this chance of becoming a criminal, and then the CHL holders are even less than that. So we're on the lowest threshold of criminal activity.
Okay, I just wanted to point out that according to this paper at the bottom, this research is done by the Crime Prevention Research Center out of Alexandria, Virginia. I don't know anything about them. If anybody
I don't know either, but
I think they've come out with some pretty anti-gun studies before, to be honest.
Well, I know the violence prevent policies and the Sugarman guy, but that's a different one than this. So I'm just wondering if anybody knew this one. Maybe in the lobby or in the chat or something.
Well, in the lobby, if anyone has anything they want to, throw in, please do so, and we'll mention it. I'm not averse to getting more feedback from everyone else. Well, Core Guns mentioning where he lives, there are cops that are in supervisory positions where he's at that are politically corrupt. Well, if you're corrupt, doesn't that mean you're breaking the law on some level anyways? I mean, whether it's a position that you are elected to or a position that you are, put into by the local government?
Well, I would say this, that police officers are tempted far more than the law-abiding concealed carrier. I mean, we don't have a chance to pick up a kilo of coke or to grab a stack of $10,000 bills in a drug raid. So, being human beings are what they are, the cops have a lot more opportunity to misbehave than your average concealed carrier does. Basically, they can give in to temptation.
Right, and we have to remember that they are human beings. But here's the fact: if you're in law enforcement, your job is to protect and serve and enforce the laws that are there. You're not there to make up new laws. You're not there to only mix and choose what laws you're going to enforce. You're supposed to enforce the law and to protect and serve. And a lot of law enforcement forget that.
Yeah, over the years and years of dealing with criminals, they tend to act more and more like said criminals and become disenfranchised and unhappy. Happens to a lot of cops in bad areas.
You have to work with, you know, the lowest, you know.
Work with the scum of the earth, and sometimes you find yourself lowering your bar.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a tough job being a cop. I mean, but not easy.
Yeah, Corgun also said that in, you know, the large capital cities like, you know, well, the larger cities like Detroit, Chicago, Miami, New York, you know, that corruption is pretty bad, but he's saying that the cops that are more officers, you know, like captains and above, are usually the more corrupt, you know, and that there's a lot of theft in office, like overtime theft. It's still theft, you know, or that items go missing in, you know, police offices, which we're always hearing about that anyways. You know.
Yeah, you know, you're right. Okay, so the point is, concealed carriers are less likely to commit a criminal offense than police or the regular population by far.
By far, yes. But you know, I just figured I saw it. I wanted to give it a mention, so I did so. We talked about it. All right, I think we better wrap it up.
Can I throw out a statistic?
Go if you have something, go for it. You know.
Okay, if you look at it, if you take all the people that were shot and murdered with a rifle last year, 5 times as many were stabbed to death with a knife compared to a rifle.
CG webs, knives. I'm just
saying. Handguns killed the most people. That takes it far and above. But when you talk about assault rifles and banning assault rifles, 5 times as many people were killed by knives than with long guns.
Don't tell Edge that. He'll get all defensive. But anyways, I think I'm going to call it now. I want to thank G-Webs for showing up. If he's still here.
Oh, I'm here. Sorry, I'm working, so I'm running back and forth.
Okay. I want to thank Hawaii Volcano Squad, like always, for, you know, making it.
Hey, I never miss Tequila Tuesday, dude. I thought I found this particular thing in the posted by one of the members at Gun Channels, and I saved it because I really liked it a lot. So it's hammer time.
The scary thing is that's right. More people were killed with random hand objects than ARs.
Well,
I have a hammer right by my door. I keep a hammer.
All right. I also want to thank Nathan for, you know, jumping in at the last minute.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Smeggy, like always, thank you for coming.
Yep. Thanks for having me, even though I'm hit or miss.
Yeah, well, that's what the show is all about. This is Night Strike, and thank you for listening to Hit or Miss.